I Can't Sleep podcast, first episode. Don't know if there'll be a second. Stay tuned to find out. But here I am, in Chicago, in the heart of Chicago, with the boys. There's Rocky, Coquito, some well-trained boys. Let me show you how well-trained they are. Here we come to the road. And, well, they got distracted. They got a little whiff of something. All right, come on. Come on. Hey! Sit! Oh, look at that. I told you they're good boys. Okay, come on, let's go. All right. So, here we are. And it's the I Can't Sleep podcast. Because I can't sleep. I've got too much on my mind. So first of all, as I was pulling up the old YouTube, one of my accounts that I follow, because I'm into crypto, so shout out to the Crypto Mason, the real one. He's all about his XRP, and he's got me on the hype a little bit too. And I do feel like bit of a maybe we'll see. I don't feel like a dummy, but potentially, because he said, "Do not sell your XRP." Guess what I did earlier this year? I sold all my XRP. We got to keep an eye on the boys, by the way, so make sure we got to clean up after them. Hopefully, they both did their business once already, so hopefully I don't have to do it again on camera. Hey, sit. Okay. All right, so shout out to Crypto Mason. Got that out of the way. If you're not into crypto, that's cool. If you are, you probably heard about XRP. A lot of hype around it. A lot of, like 10 years in the making of not a lot to show for it. But I don't know. They say keep on holding. So that's what we're going to do. Guess what else we're going to do? We're going to clean up after Rocky because he just is letting out some squirts. Oh, they're tag teaming it. Oh, goody. I've got one bag left. I'm not going to do this with one hand, a little bit tricky. But we'll figure it out. You look like, oh my God, I'm reading a comment. Somebody said I look like the Epstein guy. That's hilarious. What, because I'm white? That's hilarious. Have you even seen, do you know what he looks like? Aside from the fact that he's white? I don't know. Hi everyone. Somebody's scared. I don't know why you're scared. If anything, I should be scared. I'm walking around Chicago at night. No, it's not. It's honestly not that scary, guys. Coming from California, I found that a lot of my fear of this stuff was unwarranted. Of course, there's certain neighborhoods you don't want to be playing around, certainly at night. I did have one night where I got lost. Didn't have my phone, didn't have my wallet because I didn't want to get robbed. This was like back in the beginning. So I ended up getting lost, and I definitely went down like a alley that was questionable and just didn't stop to talk to anybody, and that was it. Just kept to my own business, and everything was fine. Maybe I got lucky, or maybe it was just don't be dumb. A little case of street smarts. Mind your own business. Anyways, I'm trying to get to the point of it all, but there's too many points and we're going in too many directions. And I'm driving these two guys, and they're both pulling in different directions. So anyways, so my first thought of the night that was keeping me up was about the whole philosophy of like good and evil, and like, you know, like, because I believe in that there's like a higher power, right? If you want to call it like this universal consciousness, if you want to call it God, Allah, like whatever floats your boat. I was thinking about this whole thing, and come on, guys, they're tugging on me. Why are they tugging on me? And anyway, I gotta stay vigilant. I know what I said, but I still gotta stay vigilant, just in case. So I'm thinking about the whole God thing, right? And well, in religion, they teach you about like the good and evil, and you know, if the afterlife, you know, and what. Ooh, that is this giant spider. I want to see if I could show you guys. It's almost terrifying. Look at that guy. Here, I'll give you. Oh, oh, oh. My hand got stuck on the web. So hand comparison. I'm not gonna get my hand any closer because that's terrifying. But I mean, I'm sure it looks super beautiful in the day, and I'm sure it's like a harmless spider. But I don't want to find out. And so somebody in the comments wrote time, and I'm not sure if you're asking what time it is. It's well, it was about 11 o'clock at night when I left, and I'm still here. I should probably be mindful not to get any houses or addresses. I don't know what the copyrights would be like. I mean, it is public after all, right? Just public streets. I'm not gonna go that way. I know, guys, come on. I know. Home is that way, but we're not done yet. We're just getting started here. And so yeah, back on the God and the good and evil and the afterlife. You know, and what they're saying is that there's heaven and then there's hell, and it depends on how you live in this life. And it's like, okay, maybe, we don't know. We won't know till we die, right? But in the meantime, I think that if we're living in such a way that we're trying to be just like a good person and expecting that that's going to reward us in this life, I don't think it is. I don't think that's how it works. You should still be a good person, but I don't think that that's actually how it works. And it's more to do with, oh man, now that I'm out here and I'm walking and I'm trying to communicate to you guys and I'm driving these two knuckleheads, I'm kind of losing it. I mean, my thoughts are all jumbled, right? And it's so coherent when it's stuck in my head and then I try to let it out. You know, you ever get that? Where you're trying to like get your thoughts out because it sounds like so profound in your head, but then as soon as you open your mouth, you're like, oh, you sound like a goofball who's fumbling. Yeah, that's me right now. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. But I feel like that's human, right? We're all like that. At least I'm trying. That's what I tell myself. Ooh. You guys are on like a hunt or something. I smell something. Show you guys one more time. So there's Coquito and Rocky, the boys. And we're just out here in the streets of Chicago. You know what's one thing that's pretty cool about the streets of Chicago? If you walk around at night, like that guy right there who just drove past, he's riding an ATV, and I've seen other people drive like dune buggies and stuff, and usually they're like blasting music. Okay, here, check this out. So you got these guys coming up right behind me. I assume they're all in the same crew, right? But it's cool, like they're popping a wheelie and stuff. Like, yeah, it's quite a spectacle. And I see it pretty consistently, like every night when I take the boys out for a walk or whatever. And so what am I trying to say about the whole good and evil thing, and how it doesn't really apply to, you can't expect yourself to be like, oh well, I do good things, and so I should be rewarded in this life. I mean, yeah, ideally you should, but that's not the way the universe works, I don't think. um, and it's gonna sound a little bit dark maybe, but it kind of goes aligned with, it's what you believe for yourself, right? Because if you do good things in life, but you keep complaining about the life that you have, or like you're stuck mentally, you're on like a loop of like negative thinking, then that's what the universe is paying attention to, and that's what it responds to. It's like, what is your mind? What mental loops are on your mind, and how is your heart resonating with that? I think that I mean, and then it gets all woo-woo and metaphysical of like, what's the heart, and all that. Like, what am I talking about when I say the heart? I'm talking in a metaphysical term, but perhaps also in a physical term. So check this out, or not check this out, but hold on one second. Hey, sit. Whoo! I love it. I love it. These guys are so good. Stay. We got a car coming, so they got to stay sit until that car passes. Stay. That's the part I'm working on, is gotta stay. Okay. I love it. I love it. Good boys. Good boys. You'll be doing well in the next life. But yeah, so I think that it's more so like, so what am I trying to say? All right, hold on. Collect my thoughts. All right, so I think that what I meant too about like how it's like a kind of dark, or like a sad truth or a sad reality, is because like narcissism, right? Because like it kind of goes to the explanation of how come like the assholes are winning in life. How come the narcissists are like winning in life? And it's like one way to look at it is like, oh well, it's like the system, right? Like it's the capitalist design. And maybe so, but like it didn't start with that. That's just kind of where we're at with it, where it's kind of like strengthened itself, but it didn't start with that, is what I'm saying. It's like more reaffirmed, sure. But or like another way to look at it is like kind of sociopaths, because they're always concerned with themselves, or like narcissists, they're all about themselves. And they believe like a narcissist will believe like they deserve the best of everything. And it's like, the thing is, that's what the universe is listening to. It's those inner thoughts, that those monologues that we have in our head. That's what the universe responds to. And this is talking about like it's like that same thing that goes along with the that book The Secret, or like the keys of manifestation, the power of the mind, all that. I'm just saying, like I've had enough experiences of trying it out. Maybe a little bit skeptic in the beginning, but it's just like I've lived too much, and I've seen too much, and I've experienced too much to know that it is true. I mean, I've had points in my life, like when I was traveling in Costa Rica, and I was in a really tight spot. I like literally was down to like my last dollar, or like last $5, and went into a cafe and bought an espresso, just so I wouldn't feel guilty about asking to use their to charge my phone and sit there. And so as I was sitting there, like very slowly sipping on my espresso, because it was the cheapest thing on the menu, it just so happened that there was this like, but I also like, you know, I was at that time, like I was like, damn, I recognize that I'm in a tight spot, but I also feel like I just felt like there was this I had this trust in the universe, or they're like, this is what they talk about like in the woo woo or the spiritual, when they're talking about surrender. And I know that that's like a really funny way to look at it if you're not familiar. Like, oh, you don't want to surrender, because surrender means you lose, like you're giving up. But that's not what I'm saying. Surrendering is just like surrendering over to a higher power and trusting that the universe is looking out for you, right? And so I just kind of was like, had this mode of surrender and trust in the universe. And it's not like I wasn't trying to I wasn't trying to force or manipulate or trying to take action. I surrendered my life over to a higher power rather than trying to control things, and didn't have any expectations. And I accepted that there was the reality that things were not going to work out for me. But I don't know, because it kind of contradicts what I had said. Because I had the trust, but I didn't feel like it was a delusional kind of spiritual bypassing. I wasn't ignoring that things potentially were not looking good, but that in that moment I was okay. In that moment, it could be worse, and to be grateful for that. And I think that gratitude is part of it too. Goes a long way. I guess the guys are smelling something funny on the other side of the fence. I don't know. Anyways, so that with that gratitude and that surrender, what happened in that story is in walks this random customer, this random woman, and she sits next to me, and we just strike a conversation. It wasn't like anything significant, and it wasn't like I was begging or anything. I actually didn't even plan to tell her my situation, but then she just kind of like was more interested in like, because we're in Costa Rica and we're two Americans speaking the English language, and so that's kind of like a thing that happens in like touristy countries or whatever, is that people are like interested in each other's like travels and stories. And so I kind of like, I told her the story, and then got to the end where here I am. And part of it, I mentioned that like I'm an artist, and I had some experience like painting murals in the past for like hostels when I was in Peru. Hey, sit. Woo, the boys are good. Come on. And so she said, I happen to know that I have a friend out here who has like this yoga retreat lodge. And this was during the time of the pandemic. And she said, I think she was actually talking about how like right now would be a really good time for her to get a muralist to come in and like do all this work while this touristy country of Costa Rica is missing its tourists because of the pandemic and the shutdown, and everybody's staying home and they're not traveling and they're not going out and stuff. So it would be the perfect opportunity for her to hire a muralist. And she'd be, I'll talk to her, see if she would be interested in like a work exchange. And because I was describing how that was kind of what I was doing in Peru, was I would paint these giant canvases. I would have to do one canvas per week, and that canvas would be the exchange for staying there for the week. So that would be like the room. I had a room to myself, and breakfast, which was enough. And yeah, so that to me, like that's always like my like go-to story, but it's not the only story that I have where things like this have happened. And I have someone in the comments, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you shall be saved. I mean, sure, I guess. I think Jesus is cool. I don't even know if like Jesus actually existed or if it was more of like a metaphor. And I know for some people they're gonna hear that and go, heathen. He's a heathen, Satan. And that's super extreme. And it's like, you should probably read the Bible if that's how you feel. Um, but you know, it is what it is. I'm out here, and you know, coming from California, we don't get a lot of that like super religiously like extreme Christianity or whatever. But you know, if you know me and you know my channel, you know I do wire wrapping, and right now I'm looking for work and going into like different shops for consignment and stuff, where I'll put my jewelry that I make in the shop. I sell it, or and they sell it, and then we like they take a cut for having a place to make the sales for me, so that I don't have to be sitting on the street trying to sell my stuff. It's in the shop doing its thing, which is a pretty cool thing for anybody looking for like a side hustle, or if you're an artist or of some sort, and you don't want to do markets. That would be a really cool thing for you to get into. Consignment shops. Out in California, it was like a tough 50-50 split, which is like kind of gritty, but you know, it's California. Out here, it could be like a 70-30, 70 going to the artist, which is cool. I appreciate that. And so the point of this story is that one of these shops that I got into is like a metaphysical bookstore. Shout out to, I actually don't know how to pronounce the name, but Hexios. It's Hexe, and then the next word is Haus, Haus. So this is a super cool shop, and I saw like on their social media a story of like just last week or a couple weeks ago, these two little kids came in, like little high school kids or something, boy and a girl, and they like popped confetti and like started like preaching all this, you know, like, oh, this is Satan, da 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 da, and like reciting, I don't know, maybe they were reciting some Bible verses or something. And that was like my first experience for like and it's not even my experience, it's secondhand, but like that's even my first secondhand experience of like religious nuts. And it's crazy. It's the thing is, it's so I think that it's just like with any like major religions and their holy books, is that there is like an actual code, and there is like actual truth and like depth to attain like a higher consciousness. But then it also gets misconstrued by people who read it and don't necessarily grasp those higher concepts, but then they decide that they do understand it, serving their own ego, of course. Not that they know that. And then they start preaching and telling other people that their way is the way. Sit. Whoo, they're so good. Check this out. Love you guys. Okay, let's go. And yeah, and so what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm not distracted because I got somebody or anything. I just want to be respectful. Yeah, we're more on the main streets of show, and we're talking about religious nuts. Now I gotta keep my voice down because you never know who's listening. No, it's cool, but I'll just be more respectful with what I say, or try to be at least. Is a lot. So of course that could be wrong. It could also be in a simulation. And running wild with that theory, if you dove into that, then you probably heard of the NPCs, is that not everyone is actually a conscious being. Not everybody has a soul. And that's like a really fucked up thing to say, to be honest. But I'll be, you know, like it's fucked up. And I think that if you're like, if you're about it and you're about this theory, like that's cool. I think that there's some validity to it. But the thing is, we don't know. And if we don't know, since we never will know for sure, there's you know, as far as I know, there's no way to measure or qualify or validate a soul. So how can you say someone or something doesn't have a soul? That's fucked up, right? But it is also potentially a reality. So yeah, I don't know how to, I'm still figuring out how I feel about that. I mean, there's people that, like what they describe as a NPC, right? It's like it would be similar to like if we're in a simulation, there's only certain players. Like if you play video games, then you would understand. Like, and if you don't, let me try to break it down for you. So like, you know, even if you don't play video games, like you've seen other people play video games, so you understand the concept that like when they're playing a video game, they're playing a character inside the game and they have control over this character. So therefore, like they are like the conscious being. It's almost like the video game player is the soul or the spirit or the consciousness, and they're controlling the avatar, which, you know, relating it back to the potential that, you know, our earthly realm is just a hologram simulation. So then these souls or these players are controlling these avatars. Like for example, boom, this me, I would be an avatar. Every individual person walking the planet or whatever they're doing on the planet at this time is another character. But not everyone is like, there's not a player behind every character, because in the video games, you know, if you like take a first-person shooter, for example, if you're playing a video game where you're a first-person shooter, you know, like you're running around and you have a gun and you're shooting people, you're not actually shooting people. They're just like video game avatar characters that are not controlled by other players around the world. Sit. Good boys. Oh. Sit. Okay. Right, so hope that kind of clears up the whole Earth is a simulation and there's NPCs running around. What they're saying is like to justify it is like if there is like if the Earth is like a hologram simulation, right, then you'd have to have a super computer to be running all this stuff. And that super computer might want to like limit the potential for like crashes, right? Because what happens when there's too much loading and processing? I mean, I don't know the technical terms about, I'm no like tech guy, but I understand the concept that like if you overload a computer by trying to like do too much all at once, that's what makes the computer crash, right? So if even like a supercomputer has the potential to crash if there's too much going on. So the idea would be that not every character or avatar, therefore like in this simulation story, not every being has a soul or has a character or has a consciousness, and some of these people are not actually people. So that's why I'm saying it's fucked up. But it's also potentially true, so I don't know. I can definitely think of some people in how they describe the NPCs and how they say like this is how you can identify an NPC, is that they're like they seem to be stuck in their character. Like there's no way they can't. There's no development, right? Like maybe they have a story, right? There's Farmer Fred and Salesman Steve, and they will always be Farmer Fred and Salesman Steve. There's no potential for Farmer Fred to be like, you know what? I'm tired of this shit. Mary, we're selling the farm, we're selling the cows, and we're gonna move to Miami. Like, no, I don't know. That was just a silly. I'm getting distracted because there was like a second story window where a cat, I can't tell if the cat is inside or outside the window, but they clearly want to be on the other side of the window. I'll show you. I like the quality on this camera. Oh, getting tugged on the leash. Anyways, that was kind of weird to me. I feel like that was creepy because I'm like creeping in somebody's window. Yeah, and y'all caught me. My bad. Probably won't do that again. Let's see. So we still got the in the comments, just people saying hi, what's up, Jow Jack. I know these people are. I'm not very good with the lives and keeping track of the comments, so I apologize. But hopefully I'll get better at it in the future. One thing that I'm trying to do is just get more comfortable knowing that potentially people are watching me, or that people will be watching me later in life, watching this moment, and not messing up, not choking, not having brain farts, and just be good and entertaining, but also thought-provoking. So we've talked about the NPCs, we've talked about the soul, and we've talked about the boys. Oh, another thing I wanted to talk about too was like the reptilians and the oh yeah, this was actually the core of it. Like what provoked this whole live in the first place was something that happened it started last night, but like the thing really happened today. And so let me start from the beginning, which is not the beginning, but last night I was thinking about this series on YouTube. I honestly don't even know. It probably is not even on YouTube anymore because it's probably been banned, and rightfully so. If you've heard the story about the rifleman who went to the pizza place out somewhere in America and was like demanding that the pizza place like admit that they have an underground like sex slave bunker or something. And this was because he saw during the pandemic they give credit to QAnon. Honestly, I don't know how much of this is true and whatnot, but so they say that the QAnon group did this thing, the Fall of Cabal, which was like a 10-episode series. And I did watch it, and I watched it during the pandemic, which I think like it was good timing. It was good timing on them while everybody's like locked in their house, getting bored out of their mind, losing their sanity. They decided, okay, people are psychologically weak, which is true. I mean, not to say that like you're a weak person, but I'm saying like you on your status quo as your normal compared to you during the pandemic, you were a weaker version of yourself psychologically. You were more susceptible. And if you're saying no, that's just your ego, bro. Like, it doesn't, like, I'm not saying you were stupid, but I'm saying you were more stupid than you normally are. So maybe you're a genius, you were just a little bit less of a genius. Hey! Stop. Sit. Good boys. Almost slipped on that one. Let's go. So pandemic, QAnon, Fall of Cabal. I watched the 10 episodes, and it's like, I'm not gonna lie, like they had me because it was like, I'm already like a bit of a conspiracy theorist. It's like that meme where the football player's like, I'm not gonna lie, they had me in the first half. It's so much like that. So they like tied in like all these different conspiracies, which is like the hot one at the time, which really should still be like a hot one. Hot. I feel bad about saying it like that, but like, okay, what I'm trying to say is the Epstein thing, right? Like, I don't mean to make it sound like, oh, that's hot. No, I'm saying like Why are people not talking about it? It should be a hot topic, is what I'm trying to say. Um, so they like tied in like all this stuff and like all the like political corruption, the Illuminati. They got everything and all bundled it into this like nice, neat little package, little morsel for people to just like consume on as like a viral internet thing. And like I was in Costa Rica at the time, and it's like I was meeting people who were like Costa Ricans who like don't even like English is their second language, and they were still like involved. Like they saw these videos and they were like outraged and stuff just as much as I was. But I also like I said I did end up watching all 10 episodes, and like by episode 10 it was like, well, don't worry because Donald Trump is our savior. And I was just like, what? Come on, bro. I mean, like I won't count it out because like maybe there is like a reality, or like there's a I will say like there's a potential, or like a version of a potential where like some of that is the truth. But like, come on, bro. No, like it was this like it was too much to say like he's like gonna be the savior and he's teaming up with RFK and who's a time traveler, and like, bro, like, come on, like you had me and then you went too far. And then it was like I was like disappointed in a bit, in a sense. And where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so fast forward to last night. I was like, I don't know, it just popped in my head, and I was thinking about this thing, and I was like, well, with AI now, I was like, I'll have a conversation with Gemini, because I was kind of inspired. I saw just checking out like the different prompts and features of AI, and I saw there was like a deep dive research option or mode, and I was like, so let's try it out. I was like, hey Gemini, what do you think of this? And then I got kind of frustrated because the response was like a little bit too biased, of like, oh, absolutely not, like this is some dangerous propaganda. And again, because I'm like already a conspiracy theorist, I was just kind of like, or like, I don't know, I guess I use that title loosely just to give you an idea of like, who I am, or like that I'm open-minded. I'll try to like reprogram myself to not call myself a conspiracy theorist, because that makes me sound like a nut. I'll just say I'm open-minded. And so I just felt like that was a little bit not so open-minded. And then there was like, I just kind of went on this kind of devil's advocate conversation with the AI, saying like, yeah, but, like, look at the facts. Like, Epstein was real. Diddy's parties were really happening. And it's like, it sucks because like there's a lot of the truth is like still covered up or whatever. And it's not like, so basically the AI was like, well, we don't know. I'm just using the evidence that I'm presented with. And, that all the fact checkers and everyone who looked into this, they came up with unsubstantial evidence. And like we like kind of went back and forth. And then finally I just realized like, oh, I had to, for my own self, redefine what unsubstantial means. And basically it was saying, like, to quote the Boondocks, I was saying it's like there are known unknowns and then there are unknown unknowns. And then what the evidence, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence, right? And so like then Gemini was like, all right, yeah, fair enough, but I stand by what I say. Like the truth is that there was that we do know who was behind it, and that it was like QAnon, and there was like they're basically like a terrorist group, and that they use like psychological warfare to like have an agenda. And I'm like, all right, like that checks out, but it doesn't mean that they're like wrong about stuff. And then we kind of like got down to the details of it. It's like, okay, so maybe there's some unproved allegations that they had, but then they also like they made it sound like they knew and they had all the answers, and that was the problem. which I agree with actually. So I don't know. So then it got me thinking, sit, Coquito, sit. Good boy. Okay. We're almost home, boys. We're just walking in circles. It got me thinking about, so then today, fast forward to today, there was this video on Instagram, and it's like, honestly, like at this point, I'm just like, how is this legal? Or like, how can this happen? And it's like, okay, the truth is, like, do your own research. That's what it comes down to. Because people can say the wildest shit on social media, and oh, no, don't do that. I don't know what that is, but you don't want to eat that. Talking about the dogs, or talking to the dogs. But yeah, like the do your own research, and like how outlandish things, internet claims are. It's like, it's just troll trash, And it's sad because there's so much troll trash mixed in with everything else. Like, people you rely on like social media to be like their education of understanding how the world works, right? Well, not everybody, but some people. And unfortunately, myself included a little bit, I like to be open-minded and, skeptic of everything. But that can be kind of dangerous too now that I'm starting to see it. So what happened was, on Instagram, I saw this reel, and it was like, they're talking about, their claim was that like in the last 5 months, 31 members of like the Fortune 400, which is like the billionaires, right, have all like mysteriously died. And I was just like, I don't know, my first instinct was to like, because I'm super like conspiracy, is to like accept it, and that's super dangerous. But fortunately, I decided to second guess it, and I was like, hey, Gemini, what's up with this? What's your take? And they're like, well, I can't actually watch the video, but if you tell me what the video says, then I can give you like my thoughts, or like I could fact check it for you. And so in the video, they listed like 13 individuals, giving their names, their like CEO titles and positions, and their death dates. And it's like the first one and the last one were the only two that were like almost true. And it was, I say almost because they changed the dates. So like the first one was this like Brazilian CEO who had a freak accident, and he died skydiving. But that was 3 years ago, and they were claiming that it happened this year. And then the last one was something else like that, where it was like a guy who had like gone through with heart attacks, and he's like on his way out. They were saying that he finally had his heart attack and kicked it. But he has not even died yet. And there was a few others where it's like, yeah, that's a real person, but they're still alive, or like they died 3 years ago or something. And then there was even two where it was just a completely made up person. And I was just like, holy fuck, like imagine how many people are seeing this and just like accepting it, like instinctually, like, oh, yep, I don't like the billionaires, I think there's an Illuminati, I accept this, there's something going on. That's super dangerous. That's the world we live in. And to that point, so I got curious, and I was like, well, I should warn the people, at least like drop a comment or something saying like, hey, I fact checked this and it's bullshit. And then I come to find that this person who's posting this stuff, it says they've limited their comments, but basically they've disabled their comments except for like their own like algorithmic like fake comments that are all like agreeing with what they're saying, or like saying like, yeah, down with the billionaires and stuff, like Illuminati is real stuff. And it's like, ugh, is so crazy. Like, they're probably fake profiles, and it's like there's a whole fake agenda. And then furthermore, like, I went to so I thought, like, all right, I'll just give this person a piece of my mind, because that'll do something, right? But anyways, I wanted to in that moment. So I clicked on the profile, and then you can't even message the person, right? So you can't message, you can't comment, and yet they're allowed to have this and like spread this like misinformation. That's like a super scary thing. What's more scary is that it's in my algorithm, and I don't want that. I guess bottom line is I need to get off social media. That was my big rant. That was my thing that was keeping me up at night. So now that I've said that, I guess I can chill out. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. Thanks for everyone who will tune in. And yeah, until the next episode. I mean, I have not been having great nights of sleep, so chances are there will be an episode 2. Peace.